Libra, my dear kindred spirit, what if I told you that a divine legal message delivered through a person or situation was already on its way to you? That the justice you've waited for, prayed for, quietly endured for, is now making its way toward you in the most unexpected, sacred form? This is not just a horoscope. This is a sacred confirmation. If you're watching this right now, I need you to know, it's not by chance. It's not a coincidence. This message has been circling your energy field for days, maybe even weeks. And the universe chose this exact moment, this exact video, to speak it out loud to you. Libra, something or someone is about to contact you, likely someone connected to legal, financial, or spiritual justice. A lawyer, a mediator, a divine representative in human form. But make no mistake, this is not about contracts on paper. This is about energetic contracts. Karmic balances. Divine intervention. Spiritual justice that is long overdue. You are the sign of balance. The embodiment of harmony. And yet, you've endured great imbalance, haven't you? You've waited with grace. You've held your tongue when you could have fought back. You've chosen stillness instead of revenge. That wasn't weakness, it was your highest wisdom in motion. Today, at Zodiac Whisper Tarot, I'm here to tell you, the scales are finally tipping. And they are tipping in your favor. So before we go deeper, I invite you to pause. Just for a breath. Let your shoulders relax. Inhale slowly. And exhale everything that no longer serves you. Feel it leave your body. That anxiety. That frustration. That memory of being overlooked. Now, tune in. Because what you're about to receive is not noise. It's not hype. It's a realignment. And it's being orchestrated by something far greater than you can see right now. And Libra, let me say this from my heart, thank you. Thank you for showing up here. For watching. For breathing into this moment with me. Every like you offer, every comment you leave, every time you subscribe, you're not just supporting this sacred space. You are strengthening the energetic channel that allows messages like this to find you. Your presence here helps anchor this message in the physical realm. But this is only the beginning. Today, we're going to explore why a divine legal message is coming your way. What it means for your resources, your self-worth, your emotional healing, and your next chapter. We'll dive into the astrology that supports this moment, the tarot that confirms it, and the practical self-work that will prepare you to receive it all. So stay with me until the very end, Libra, because I promise you, the revelations unfolding here are no less than sacred. Now tell me in the comments below, what number has been following you lately? What silent message has been echoing in your dreams, your heart, your reality? Comment it below. Claim your space in this divine alignment. Let's begin. Sometimes the most profound shifts in our lives begin not with a dramatic event, but with a whisper, a subtle change in energy, a gentle nudge from the unseen. And Libra, for you, this moment has been forming quietly, reverently, behind the scenes for quite some time. You, the sacred keeper of balance, have walked through seasons of deep internal conflict in a world that often celebrates noise over nuance, power over fairness. And yet, you chose silence. You chose integrity. You chose to wait for divine timing. Now, that timing is approaching. The symbolic lawyer, who is preparing to reach out may take many forms. It could be a literal attorney delivering a long-awaited message. It could be a family member finally stepping forward to acknowledge a debt, emotional or material. It could even be a spiritual encounter disguised as a conversation, an email, a document, or an opportunity you didn't expect but somehow always knew was coming. Their appearance in your life is not random. They are, in many ways, a reflection of you, the version of you that never stopped hoping that justice would eventually find its way home. The tarot archetype of justice is more than just a card, it is the heartbeat of your Libra soul. She stands with the sword in one hand and the scales in the other, eyes wide open, unmoved by illusion, unaffected by emotion, grounded only in truth. And this is the energy that surrounds you now. What has been out of balance is preparing to be rebalanced. But here's what's most sacred about this shift: it's not being forced. It's being offered. You are not being summoned to fight. You are being invited to receive. This is where your soul's resilience becomes your greatest gift. Because those who have suffered injustice and chosen to heal rather than harden are often the ones entrusted with the greatest blessings when the time is right. And Libra, the time is right. You've passed the test of endurance. You've carried burdens that weren't yours to carry. You've allowed others to speak louder while you carried quiet truth in your chest. And now, that truth is rising. There's a powerful lesson in this moment, one that ties into what I've learned guiding others through these seasons of realignment. When justice arrives, it rarely looks like revenge. It looks like peace. It looks like restoration. It looks like release. And it requires a certain softness to receive, a willingness to believe that we are worthy not because we have proven ourselves, but simply because we always were. That's the deeper invitation in this part of your journey, not just to witness justice, but to welcome it. Think of it like a field that has been left fallow. For seasons, nothing seemed to grow. But beneath the surface, the soil was preparing. And now, the first signs of new life are emerging, not because you planted seeds yesterday, but because you nourished the land even in silence. That's what's happening in your energetic field right now. The blessings coming your way are the fruits of patience, of presence, and of a quiet kind of courage. This moment also invites you to consider forgiveness, not because others deserve it, but because you do. Letting go of resentment is not an act of surrendering power. It is an act of claiming it back. Think of it as cleaning out a room you've outgrown to make space for the kind of abundance that matches who you've become. You are not the same person who endured the original injustice. You are stronger now. Wiser. More self-aware. And with that growth comes the spiritual maturity to discern what is worth holding on to and what is finally safe to release. So ask yourself, am I ready to receive what has always belonged to me? And if so, what small act can I take today to signal that readiness? Perhaps you write it in your journal. Perhaps you say it out loud in prayer. Perhaps you simply sit still, hand on heart, and say, I'm open. Let your life respond to that openness. It always does. There are moments in astrology that act less like predictions and more like sacred audits. When Saturn moves through your 8th house, as it has for you, dear Libra, it doesn't come to entertain. It comes to reveal. This house governs shared resources, soul bonds, debts, both material and energetic, and all the unspoken contracts we carry, knowingly or not. It's where we store what we inherit from others, not just in money, but in expectations, guilt, silence, and the quiet ache of unresolved exchange. Saturn, in its deliberate wisdom, doesn't rush. It watches. It measures. It waits for the moment when truth can no longer remain hidden in the shadows of emotional agreements. During this time, you may have felt as though you were being silently observed, as if life was keeping score while you were left with unanswered questions. You gave your energy, your presence, your patience to relationships or institutions that didn't return it in kind. And instead of rage, you chose grace. But grace does not erase the ledger. It balances it. That's what Saturn has been doing, logging every imbalance, not for punishment, but for restoration. This is why the Judgment card appears now. Not to condemn, but to confirm. This card in tarot is not about guilt, it's about awakening. It's the call that breaks silence. The long-awaited echo of your soul's knowing that what you experienced was real, that your effort was sacred, and that the moment of recalibration is here. You are being asked not just to receive justice but to participate in it, not by fighting, but by allowing it to unfold. Pluto's retrograde energy deepens this process. It pulls back the curtain on suppressed power dynamics and internalizes your reflection on them. If you found yourself asking, "Why haven't they seen my worth?" or "Why does this injustice keep repeating?" understand that this isn't about being unseen, it's about being prepared for the right moment of return. Sometimes, divine timing delays so the ground can be made fertile enough to truly hold what's coming. When Pluto and Saturn co-activate this part of your chart, it means that your transformation must be supported by structure. No more quick fixes. No more temporary relief. This is about permanent, soul-aligned justice. In numerology, the number 8 brings a powerful message in this phase. It's the number of karmic cycles, financial regeneration, and inner authority. It reminds you that abundance is not just something you attract, it's something you become through self-mastery. And Libra, your mastery is finally being acknowledged on a cosmic scale. For those of you walking through this while balancing real-world burdens, legal delays, financial confusion, partnerships in limbo, I want you to breathe with me for a moment. You are not being tested. You are being shown the truth of what your energy is worth. The hard conversations, the delays, the stuck feeling, that's the sound of outdated agreements dissolving, making space for rightful alignment. You may not see the full resolution yet. But there are subtle signs, a shift in tone in someone's words, a document that reappears, an old regret that no longer stings. These are all indicators that the tide is turning in your favor. This is where you choose trust over control. This is where faith becomes action. And not the blind kind of faith, but the kind that whispers, "Something bigger is working this out for me, and I don't have to carry it alone." You're not surrendering power. You're reclaiming it by stepping aside and letting divine order do what it's here to do. So if you felt forgotten in matters of justice, finances, or inheritance, please know you haven't been forgotten. You've been watched over. And now, it's your turn to be restored. Comment below if this resonates with you. Sometimes, just naming your truth is enough to start the realignment. What often surprises people about justice is that it doesn't always roar when it arrives. Sometimes, it whispers. It doesn't always come in dramatic courtrooms or loud declarations, but in quiet acknowledgments, subtle shifts, and moments that feel almost too graceful to be real. For you, Libra, this is that kind of moment. You don't need to fight anymore, because your very presence, your essence, your values, those things have already spoken. They've already been recorded in the unseen layers of life. You are the balance. You are the mirror. And that alone calls justice toward you without force. The energy of the Hierophant showing up now confirms that the universe is not only aware of the imbalances that have touched your life, it's taking structured action to correct them. This tarot archetype is the gatekeeper of divine law, the keeper of codes that go beyond human rules and reach into the moral fabric of the cosmos. When the Hierophant appears, it often means that something you thought would have to be fought for will instead be delivered through a channel of order and institution, an agreement, a long-delayed acknowledgement that now must surface. Think of this card not as a symbol of rigidity, but as a vessel for divine alignment carried out through earthly means. You may begin to notice signs: an unexpected message in your inbox, a revised contract, a conversation that seems casual but carries a weight that leaves your heart trembling with quiet knowing. These aren't coincidences. They are echoes of a truth that has been waiting to rise. And more importantly, they are gentle confirmations that the energy you once poured out into the world without being compensated for is now finding its way back to you. This is where I encourage you to embody the energy of still receiving. There's an art to it. It's not passive. It's present. It's aware. It's a form of trust that says, I don't need to prove my pain or validate my story anymore because the correction is already in motion. You see, true justice doesn't require your defense. It just requires your readiness to receive the restoration. That readiness can look like rest. It can look like forgiving someone not to free them, but to unburden yourself. It can look like organizing your space to prepare for new opportunities. Or simply repeating to yourself each morning, I allow the truth to bless me, not break me. In some of the most grounded moments of human life, I've witnessed small acts like a woman receiving an unexpected refund from a miscalculated payment, or a man finally getting an apology he never asked for carry the weight of spiritual turning points. These weren't lawsuits. These were the universe's way of balancing the scale quietly, intimately, and without resistance. You may be on the brink of such a moment yourself, Libra. And the most powerful thing you can do now is remain open, not defensive. Colors like deep blue and soft pearl white carry energetic properties that support clarity, truth, and energetic cleansing. Whether you wear them, visualize them, or bring them into your surroundings, let these shades be reminders of what is being purified in your life. You are not broken, you are being brought back to balance. You are not forgotten, you are being called forward in grace. So now, as your path continues to unfold, speak not from fear but from alignment. Say gently, I open to receive the justice that belongs to me. Let that be your prayer, your affirmation, and your invitation to the universe. You are not here to chase what is rightfully yours. You are here to welcome it with strength, humility, and trust. And when it arrives, you'll know it was never about the fight. It was always about the return. Sometimes the most unexpected breakthroughs begin in the physical world, but are guided by something far more profound beneath the surface. If you're navigating a time of legal review, property negotiations, or financial discussions, know that this isn't just a material matter. It's a mirror. A mirror reflecting how far you've come energetically, emotionally, spiritually. What looks like paperwork on the outside may in fact be a deeply layered return of balance that your soul has been calling in for years. For Libra, whose essence is all about fairness and symmetry, the idea of receiving justice may feel overdue. But this phase isn't about punishment or retribution, it's about restoration. And true restoration, the kind that brings peace to your body and your bank account, always starts from within. The universe doesn't just drop opportunities into your lap without preparing you to hold them. That's why so much of what you've been through lately has felt like inner clearing, like emotional detox. Because you can't hold lasting blessings in hands that are still clenched with fear, resentment, or the need to explain your worth. I remember a story about a woman who had endured years of imbalance after a divorce. No financial support, no closure. Just silence. But instead of growing bitter, she chose to get still. She journaled, she forgave quietly, and she rebuilt her sense of value. And then, out of nowhere, a lawyer called her. Someone she'd never hired. He told her, "I've been asked to reclaim what was always yours." That moment wasn't about money. It was about spiritual validation materializing into form. That's what this moment can be for you too. A tangible echo of something you've long believed in but almost stopped hoping for. The Ace of Swords appears now as a symbol of undeniable clarity. It cuts through delay, confusion, and emotional fog. It represents divine timing delivering a truth so sharp, so clear, it liberates you. This sword doesn't destroy, it severs attachments that no longer serve. And in your case, it could arrive as a signature, an agreement, or a message that shifts your entire energetic field toward balance. This is your invitation to prepare not through force, but through alignment. Maybe that means writing a letter you'll never send, offering forgiveness to someone who will never say sorry. Not for them. For you. Maybe it's taking 10 quiet minutes in the morning to meditate on your worth, not because you need to convince the world of it, but because you're finally ready to embody it. Or maybe it's simply clearing the clutter from a room in your home, lighting a candle, and saying, "Let this space reflect the peace I choose to welcome." When we take small physical actions with great intention, we activate spiritual pathways that open doors no one else can shut. You don't need to fight for what's yours, Libra. You only need to prepare the space for it to arrive. Like preparing a table before the meal even begins, your trust is the invitation. And trust isn't passive. It's an act of courage. A decision to believe that the goodness you've been quietly cultivating is not only enough, it's inevitable. So if you're feeling the stirrings of change, if the phone rings unexpectedly or a document shows up with your name on it, pause. Breathe. And instead of reacting with fear, respond with faith in the foundation you've been building silently all along. What is being restored now isn't just fairness, it's the full circle return of everything that was delayed, but never denied. There's something incredibly powerful that happens when you no longer wait for the world to validate you. When the recognition you once chased begins to rise from within you, not as a demand, but as a quiet knowing. And Libra, this is exactly where you are. The tipping point. The sacred shift. The moment you stop looking outward and start building justice from the inside out. While external legal or financial breakthroughs may be surfacing, and yes, contracts, agreements, or long-awaited decisions may be drawing near, what truly transforms your life is not what others decide. It's what you decide about yourself. Your worth. Your voice. Your energy. You are no longer just waiting for balance to be restored. You are becoming the balance that others feel when they enter your space. You're not simply hoping to be chosen, you are choosing yourself. The universe, especially under Libra's influence, always responds to structure. Not rigidity, but intentional design. So as you build your days, your meals, your routines, your financial plans, so as someone who knows they are worthy of what they are calling in. Eat foods that nourish your nervous system, like those rich in magnesium and iron, because clarity requires calm. You cannot make aligned choices when your body is overwhelmed. Take walks during the waning moon, when release is easier, and clarity flows through breath, not pressure. Practice yoga not as a performance, but as a daily reminder that your body, your temple, holds the wisdom your mind often forgets. And when it comes to money, don't wait for the increase before you manage it with care. Act as if the blessing is already in motion. Because energetically, it is. You don't organize your space only when guests arrive, you do it because you know something beautiful is always on its way. Your relationship with money shifts when you stop treating it as a rescue and begin treating it as a partner. One you're learning to trust again. In numerology, the presence of the number 6 invites harmony. Balance between giving and receiving. Between holding on and letting go. Between what is fair for others and what is fair for you. And the number 3 whispers of expression, creativity, and yes, collaboration. This may indeed point to an invitation coming your way, a contract, a proposal, or a conversation that creates new structure. But it is your internal environment that will determine whether you feel ready to say yes. So ask yourself, am I prepared to receive what I once thought I had to chase? I've seen people miss their moment not because the opportunity wasn't there but because they didn't feel worthy of it when it finally arrived. Let that not be your story. Let your preparation be your declaration. Let your inner structure be strong enough to hold the miracle without questioning it. And if you've waited a long time to feel siento, be compensated, heard, acknowledged not just by others, but by life itself, I want you to pause here and breathe in this truth. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are in alignment with a divine order that has always placed you exactly where your growth could flourish. And now that growth is blooming. Say it aloud if it feels right. I allow justice to arrive in peace. Say it not to demand, but to affirm. To remind your spirit that you are no longer just surviving the wait. You are actively preparing for the fulfillment. And everything you do, your breath, your meals, your rest, your claridius, a sacred part of that preparation. Let this be the season where justice no longer feels far away. Let it begin inside you. And watch how the world responds. Beloved Libra, justice is not just a concept in the sky, it's a force that has been circling your name, your heart, and your truth. What you thought was overlooked has actually been protected. What was delayed was only being prepared for its most divine and undeniable entrance. You didn't stay silent for nothing. Your quiet strength, your grace under fire, and your loyalty to doing what's right, all of that has been seen. And now, something sacred is happening behind the veil. A force, a person, a messenger of divine order is moving closer, not to disrupt your life, but to restore it. Everything you thought was taken from you, your peace, your voice, your value, is being returned in ways more powerful than you ever imagined. The universe doesn't forget who you are. The scales are tipping. And this time, they're tipping in your favor. Take a breath. Place your hand over your heart. And gently affirm, I receive justice. I release the fight. I welcome truth back into my life. You didn't have to scream to be heard. You didn't have to fight dirty to win. Your light, quiet but fierce, has always been enough. And now, divine justice is flowing straight toward you, not because you chased it, but because you embodied it. This is your moment to let go of the weight and allow the reward. This is your moment to stop doubting and start receiving. What if today was the turning point? What if right now, your quiet decision to believe again is what activates the miracle? So I ask you, Libra, what does justice mean to you right now? Who or what are you finally ready to release in order to reclaim your balance? And are you willing to open your arms wide enough to receive what the universe has been saving just for you? If this message resonated with your soul, I invite you to comment below with, "I receive divine justice." Let that be your energetic signature, your sacred agreement with the universe that you are ready. You are willing. And you are worthy. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and join the family of light here at Zodiac Whisper Tarot, where your truth is honored and your journey is sacred. Here, you are never alone. Justice is not coming. It has already begun. And it's headed straight for your heart.